Welcome to NuWu Session, where we invite guests from different corners of the Vegas cannabis industry. We sit down to share a VIP table package in Nevada's very first cannabis consumption lounge, only here in the Vegas Tasting Room. Come check us out.
What up, NuWu fam? On today's episode, we're excited to have mixed martial artist and former AFC middleweight champ, Sasha Palatnikov. Watch as we discuss his background in athletics, as well as how he became one of the first athletes to become sponsored by a cannabis brand. It's only here on NuWu Sessions, so let's get it started.
Welcome back to NuWu Sessions. I appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Man, share this video with as many potheads as you can.
What he said.
We trying to get out there. And on this episode, we've been doing this thing for a long time now, huh?
Yeah, man. This is episode 13. I'm not even gonna say the numbers anymore because it might move around.
1,000%.
But you know what I mean. This is the first time where we've had a guest come back full circle. Sasha was here for episode 4, and now here we are.
Yes,
again,
sir.
Man. We're glad to have you here on a one-on-one, man. Thanks for coming back.
Appreciate you
Pleasure
coming, man.
to be back. Good to
Hell
see you guys.
Hell yeah.
Good, man. So how you been since our last video? Any quick little updates for the folks at home?
Yeah, I came before the new year, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it came before the new year and basically got sick. Got the COVID and went through
man.
that, but it was all good. Started the year good, getting back into training, and then I took a fight beginning April 2nd, down in New Orleans. Got out of there first round TKO, so that was good fun.
Yeah, I saw that. Hell yeah.
And yeah, no, I've just been training, focused on trying to get back to the UFC and just going day by day.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, man.
That's
Hell yeah.
And like Tom said, man, you're the very first guest that we had coming back on, man, and it's rightfully so. Sasha started with us in the original lounge, one of our very first customers, and one of our very first customers as soon as we reopened again. So it seems fitting.
Heck
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, from the moment I moved here from Hong Kong, this was like introduced to me by AJ and Johnny.
Yes,
and
sir.
to be able to come to a place to be able to smoke recreationally was like a mind-blowing thing for me,
Right.
because it's been illegal my whole upbringing, So
For sure.
Yeah.
it was definitely a cool place to hang out with like-minded people and connect and enjoy my time.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I mean, that being said, let's start off here. We got these Cannacocktails. You know the flavors better than I. Why don't you let everyone know what we're drinking, DJ?
So myself, I had to make a beautiful pina colada. My man Tom here, we made one of the fan favorites, a liquid marijuana, and my boy, actually another personal favorite of mine, a strawberry mango canarita. These are all infused 5 milligrams each. Make sure you come stop by the tasting room, man. Come try one of these bad boys out. I promise you it's worth it.
Hell yeah. Cheers,
Brother, I'm
gentlemen.
gonna give you a cheers,
fellas.
man.
Fuck yeah. Woo.
Just like Granny
That's
used to
nice.
make it. I should put a little bit of water in mine.
Granny used to make you
That's tasty.
pina coladas?
Virgin.
Oh, virgin.
We're islanders,
So
bro.
my
We
grandma
put-
was not that
we put
cool.
coconut and pineapple and
That's
everything,
tasty.
bro.
It's got some pineapple in it. A little
Right.
coconut. Man,
One.
that's good.
All right, but so actually, you already touching up a little bit about your upbringing. We did want to kind of dive into your background a little bit. So, what were your first early memories? Because we did touch on it on the last episode you were on. You were born and raised in Hong Kong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
That's home.
how was that experience, especially for many of us Americans that don't know that life? How is it out there?
Hong Kong was a very unique city to grow up in. It has the nickname of the concrete jungle. It's a very densely populated city with a lot of beautiful, architecture, old Asian architecture mixed in with kind of the modern, new Western contemporary style. So it's very unique. There's no city like it. And growing up there as a kid, it was just kind of, I would leave my apartment at like 9 in the morning. I wouldn't come back until 9 at night, and I wouldn't have anything on me. It would just be able to just go out and adventure for the whole day, whether it be play sports with my friends, go
Right.
to somebody's house, go to the beach, get in the mountains. Like there's always had that quick access within 30, 40 minutes to be able to kind of do whatever you wanted. And, looking back, you just think, wow, like I was really, really blessed to have that opportunity, because nowadays, like, you can't even let your kid walk down the street anymore.
know,
You
man.
just
Crazy.
someone's gonna come and like abduct them. So it was just a really cool experience to be able to just have that freedom and independence at a young age. I felt like an adult.
For
I was always
sure.
craving like to be an adult, because I just saw everyone just kind of doing their own thing, and I'm like, I'm just this kid like roaming around the city, But yeah, it was a great childhood. Getting into martial arts at the age of 5 was something that kind of grounded me early. So I was super into my culture there, and that's home. It still is.
Right.
Like to this day, people still look at me like, you're from Hong Kong, but it's all I know, and that's where I was born and raised, and it will forever be home.
Right, dead ass. I know when you first came to the lounge, and you told me and a couple of the other employees here, I'm like, this man does not.
What? Yeah.
Hey, that's cool though, man. It definitely gave us a different perspective, for sure. Just having some of our conversations before.
How long have you been stateside?
I've been in Vegas now 2.5 years. I moved here just before the pandemic started, so it was like end of 2019. But I've like had cameos in the U.S. I studied here. I went to university out here, and I lived in Miami for a little bit. I was training out there, and I have family in New York, so I was always like spending summers and stuff out here in the States. And in Hong Kong, like the sports wasn't like a big push. Like you couldn't get like these really dope like sport camps that you get here in the States. So my parents would send me out here to my grandparents, and I just spend the summer like playing basketball, baseball. Just that was like that's all I wanted to do. I loved it. So just being able to get out in the States and travel, Philly, Washington, New York, East Coast, and just travel through camps and play sports with like athletes from all over the country was like so much fun.
Oh yeah. If you got the international appeal, and then you're looking, I mean, for me personally, as an American, I only really know the States. I've been all over. I've been to most of the continental United States and farther. But to that point, that's where like when you really have that international appeal and you're coming here, you're like, cool. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced the difference between Miami and Las Vegas is night and day, right?
Sure.
I mean, New York City and L.A.
Absolutely. That's what makes this country so unique. It's like you got so many states, but it's like they're also their own unique. Some of them have different accents. Some of them call things different, and you're like, wait, you're all one country though.
Right,
that's what makes it so cool when you meet different cultures. I think that's one thing that I really like is meeting different cultures.
Right. For sure.
Just meeting people who have been brought up differently, because you learn, and and if you have an open mind, you can just like kind of enjoy it.
Appreciate it a lot more.
Yes,
100%. That's cool, man.
So what because I know I read somewhere before that you play football at Buffalo, I believe?
Yes. I started in Concordia University in Montreal.
Oh, okay.
And then kind of went on that path. So I was a professional rugby player before.
Yeah.
And I got hurt, and my parents had decided like, oh, like you need an education, like sport doesn't last forever kind of thing. And I was never like, yeah, I need to get a degree. Like I want to, sit in an office. Like I wasn't really what I was planning, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I can use sport as an avenue to do that. So I got an opportunity to go play rugby in Canada, but the level was much lower than what I was used to playing, and
For sure.
I was like kind of feeling unmotivated. So I got introduced to the football program. Everyone was getting treated like a superstar. They're all studs. Good program. So the fact that I got invited just to try out kind of like piqued my interest. I was like, yeah, why not? Even though back then, like I thought football was a pussy sport.
Right.
They wore pads, like they barely had to do anything. I didn't know the rules, but at the same time, I was like, these guys are getting treated like superstars. I was like, I'll give it a go.
Right. Why not?
So I jumped in, and I picked up some things, but mentally it was just like I was thinking too much. Being new in the sport, there's so many plays. It's so intricate, and I'm used to just kind of just take the ball and go, and like that's how I have, more freedom. And so it was like a subject in school, and I spent a lot of time, invested a lot of time to know the game, the knowledge of the game. And I thought, hey, I have a great kick. I can punt. They're like, they want me to be a punter. I was like, all I got to work on is my defense, make myself unique.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, I'm American citizen, so I was like, let's try to get a scholarship. Let's go through that system, whatever I got to do. So the people in Canada were like, you did good. Like, we got film on you. My advice, go get to a junior college, get some film there, and then apply to a bigger school. Sure. Moved my butt from Montreal, packed my car, packed everything in a U-Haul, moved to upstate New York, Troy, New York, right by Albany.
Right.
Never been there. Just showed up to the program, was like, hey, I'm here. They're like, all right, we'll see you at practice. And same thing. Everyone came in with the same mentality. I was at a football program where everyone's like a team and like they wanted to win, but everyone there was like, fuck that. I just want a scholarship.
Yeah,
like, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah,
so everyone was there just trying to outwork each other, but it was a good situation to get better.
For sure.
And mind you, the environment was just like, I met people from all walks of life, and like that I'd never experienced before. Right. It was crazy. And, I made some really good friends, and I learned a lot in that. I was like, it was a very transitional period of my life of like being like, oh, I'm a scholarship student stuck in a dorm, like eating for free here. And like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, kind of in the hood in Troy, New York. Like,
Right.
all right, now I got to be a man. I got to be an
Right.
adult now. Like, I got to
bro.
take. No one's
Put your
looking
big
after
boy
me.
pants on.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
you know, I was 19 years old, and it was just like, all right, focused on football, focused on school. And then, you know, I got that highlight tape. I made 120 copies of it on DVD and sent it out to 120 schools.
Hell yeah.
Division 1, Division 1 AA, Division 2, and just waited. And I got a bunch of letters, and they were like, hey, come out for visits. You get like 5 NCAA visits. So I went all along the East Coast. I went to like Rutgers, Stony Brook, Bethune-Cookman. Funny story
Yes, sir.
about Bethune-Cookman. Didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, I saw Daytona Beach, Florida. I said, yeah, hell yeah, I never been. Yeah, I didn't know. Not a very good school. Like, not a good football program
No,
or anything.
they're terrible.
But,
They're
yeah.
usually bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, but it was cool just to go down to Daytona Beach, and I was like, okay, cool. Everyone was super nice and all that. And then, yeah, and then I actually ended up accepting a scholarship from Florida State.
Oh,
But they only wanted me as a punter.
Oh, makes sense.
But I wanted to prove them wrong and say, like, oh, I can still play defense. But still, that was the goal. They were top 25 school in the country.
sure.
I was very excited. And at the time, I was living in Jacksonville with a friend of mine who was also in the same situation. He got a scholarship from Arkansas. So we were just living together and just training. Shout out to Andrew Cannon. His family are amazing.
Yeah.
They like took me in, and he's a funny cat too. I'll tell you a story about him. His nickname is Boom Boom.
Boom boom.
Played safety, so you can only
Oh,
imagine.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Nice.
Boom Boom, that man just had no
Light as stick.
didn't care. He
Yep.
would just smack anybody, anything that ran across the line. He would just smash you. And he was like the most hood white boy you'll ever meet.
Right.
But
Especially
then
with the name Boom Boom.
yeah, but then when you
Right.
meet his family, you're like, wait, what? They're like the nicest family, like medical doctors, like for the
Okay.
Navy, and you're like, what the hell happened to you, dude? Like, come on, bro. Like,
They're all looking at him the same
right,
way.
right.
because like he
Sure.
invited me to come live with him, and when I moved down there, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
We'd lived together, so I'd seen, you know, he's dipping and he's just kind of like living that southern lifestyle. And I really didn't know what to expect. I was just like, look, I'm gonna live in Florida. It's gonna be sunny. I can train. Like,
Right.
we'll deal with it when we get there. Turns out, dude lives in a beautiful mansion with like
No,
a very
my
and I'm
God.
like, what? Like, I was expecting a trailer. Like,
Right,
I'm just
for
being honest with you. Like, it was really kind of surreal.
For sure.
Judge
But
a
yeah,
book by its cover kind of situation, right?
never, you know, and it was just like, it was pretty funny. And, you know, he's a great dude, and his family are amazing. And they gave me like so many opportunities just to be comfortable in a situation of just focus on my training. They were
Yeah.
feeding me, housing me, and just making sure I was getting ready for school, which
That's
was
beautiful.
cool. It was like
Oh,
my
yeah.
sub family.
That's
And unfortunately, though, fortunately, I was commuting. You know, it's an hour and 45 between Jacksonville and Tallahassee. I was doing some of the spring training, some of the lifting and running. And while this is all happening, my transcripts need to come in from Australia, Hong Kong,
Ooh, man.
Canada,
Oh, yeah.
upstate New York,
Yeah.
right? So things are coming in. They're making sure everything is good. But long story short, they didn't accept a bunch of credits from my school in Canada, which was like entry level classes, like 100 level classes, which are general as
Yeah.
fuck. So it was very
Jeez.
strange, like that they wouldn't accept. I took a class, history of China, and they wouldn't accept that. And their closest match was like early Chinese civilization. And I'm like,
Done
What?
the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they were like, oh, basically you're ineligible for the fall,
Wow.
so we can't give you a scholarship.
Damn.
And I'm like, why couldn't this have been told to me earlier?
1000%.
And I could go with somebody else, you know? And they're like, oh, we're sorry. We'll give you a scholarship in the spring. So I was like, what do I do? They're like, oh, you just pay out of pocket for the fall. I'm like, I'm out of state. They want me to spend 30 grand, like
Crazy.
Yeah.
to get a scholarship. I was like, that
Crazy.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I was in a tough situation. Didn't really know what to do. So talked with my parents, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a New York State resident. I'm not gonna drop bills to go to school. Like, definitely not.
No,
you know. So
man.
I applied as a regular student to the University of Buffalo. They were the best program in the state of New York at the time, and same thing. Packed my car up in Jacksonville and just up to Buffalo without.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I had a couple letters and recommendations from Bobby Bowden, a couple of coaches, so that was nice. And you know, I went up there and, you know, showed up. I was in the best shape of my life. I was an absolute unit, like just physically, just on point for football. I was on
Right.
point, and I was ready to go. Khalil Mack played at
Yes,
UB,
sir.
and
Yes, sir.
so I knew it wasn't just going to be a walk-in. I knew they had some legit athletes, but at the same time, I just knew where my level was and where I had
Right.
been training at, and especially as a punter, like I was like, I
sure.
could walk on any program and just punt.
Yeah, shit.
So I showed up there, and it was just like nobody gave a shit about me. They were just like, but I wasn't expecting them to. And then I was like, all right, I'm that kid that'll be there before practice, and I'll be the one who leaves when practice is finished. Like, I want to be here playing. I want to be on ESPN. Like, that's my goal, was to try to make it to the NFL. Like, that was what at that moment in my time, my mind, that was the focus.
For sure.
And yeah, and just the coaches, I was doing my thing. I was making plays in practice. I thought I was doing what I needed to do, and people on the team and were saying, no, you're doing great, you know. And I was like, cool, like maybe I'll just need a couple games before I start to dress.
Right.
You know, 5 weeks pass, I don't dress.
Damn.
And I'm telling you, I had like the best JUCO punt average my year. I'm blasting these guys like by 10 yards in punting. So I'm like, at least I should be dressing to punt. I don't even get on special teams. Like, I don't get on anything.
Damn.
So I'm just sitting
Rugby
there
skills.
like kind of like, what am I doing? And I'm asking the coaches, like, what do I got to do to, you know, get on? Like, what do you need to see from me? Like, and they're just telling me the same bullshit over and over. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then they go away to play Tennessee, and that was like my dream. That was the ESPN game away at Tennessee. I was like, they're like, it doesn't matter if you play on ESPN and you make plays, like scouts will see you. So that was like what you want, you know. And I'm like, okay, Buffalo, you know, not a big program, but if we can get out to Tennessee, that'll be the game, you know. Even if I put in like huge punts, you know what I mean? Like, so again, I did everything that week to try to dress, try to travel the team, didn't make it. Didn't get on the team, didn't get anything on. And in my mind, I'm like, am I not good enough? Like, if I'm not, and I'm a realistic person, I'm not delusional. If I'm not good enough, I'll take that and be like, there's nothing I can do. I can keep getting wetter, try next season, whatever. But I was the top 25 country in the country, you know, like
That's a tough
there were a
part.
lot of people telling me like I'm good, and then so it was a weird situation. But I was upset because I'd invested so much time and everything. I'm like, I could have been playing rugby, making money.
That's
instead.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Especially
You know?
internationally, you make big bank.
Yeah,
100%.
you know, and I never wanted to be in school. I was just doing this to play sport.
Right.
And so the coaches come back from Tennessee. I was in the gym and I was waiting for them to come back. I went in and got into a big argument with the coach, and punched a hole in the wall, you know, in a bit of a blind rage. And that was kind of the end of my football career.
Yeah.
I went home and I was just like, oh fuck, like what have I done? Like, you know, stupid, you know, just dumb. And then and I was really upset. Like, I wanted to punch more holes in walls, but I was like, wait, that's gonna cost me money down the road, so I shouldn't do that. You know, I was glad I didn't do that. But I looked up a boxing gym. I was in Buffalo, New York. I just typed in literally boxing gym on Google, and there was a place called Buffalo Training Center. It was like 20-minute drive from where I was staying at. I got in my car and drove out there, showed up, and there was a young guy there, a year older than me, sitting at the desk. He owns the gym. He was a professional fighter at the time. And I'm like, hey, man, like, I'll pay whatever, $10 for the drop-in. I just want to hit the bag in the corner and just leave me be. He's like, oh, we actually have a jiu-jitsu class right now. Would you like to jump in? Like, trying to give me the whole sell and shit. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to roll on the ground in pajamas. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, I just want to go and hit a bag.
I just want to strike and go.
You know, I've been striking my whole life. You know, I've never grappled, never done any of that. So I'm just like, look, man, like, I'm not trying to do no martial arts. Like, I'm in a bad mood. I told him, I just want to hit something. And he kept pushing and pushing. He's like, I'll give you the free gi. I'll give you this. I'll give you that.
Damn,
I was like, all right, fucking hell, dude. I was like, you know, I'll do it. You know, I'll do it. So, but I was upset. I was upset with him for making me like do this.
Right, for sure.
You know, I was like kind of annoyed at him. So I get in the class, and at this time I'm like 250 pounds. Like, I'm pretty yoked. At the time. I'm a big fella.
Damn, 250 for a punter? Sheesh.
Who can run a 4.6?
Right. That's rugby.
Yeah.
That's
so,
all rugby.
So it was just one of those things where I got on the mat and was like, I'm gonna kill everyone. Like, that's how I felt. Everyone was probably like $150, $160, you know, martial artist. But in my mind, I've been street fighting my whole life. I'm a big fella. I just think I can just take over, you know. And all of a sudden, we do sparring. I swear, a guy 130 pounds takes my back, puts in a little bit of a choke, and I'm like defending it. I'm strong. I'm like, I'm good. Next thing you know, I go to sleep. I'm lights out. I look up and I see like a ring of heads just looking down at me like, oh, bro, are you okay? And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, oh, like, if you ever feel like you're going to go to sleep, just tap. And I'm like, wait, like, I got put to sleep? And then they're like, yeah. And my brain just went... Like, it was the biggest ego trip I ever received.
That's been a big humble lesson.
Super humbling, because the guy was like the nicest guy ever. He was literally like $130 soaking wet. And I'm like, you put me to sleep? He's like, yeah, bro, I'm sorry. And I'm like, don't be sorry. I was like, that was amazing. Like,
crazy.
And then I was like, I need to know this. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be a fighter, or I want to be a jiu-jitsu guy. I was like,
Yeah,
I
need
just
to
want
get
to know this.
Intrigue. You want to learn more.
Yeah, I was like,
100%.
this is insane. Like,
Well,
I was
that's
like,
cool,
I'm
man.
a big dude, like
Right.
double his size, and he
Wow.
put me to sleep.
Well, that's
He
what I
could have
said,
raped
man.
me if he wanted to. Like I couldn't
You
do
better
nothing
watch out,
about
man.
it, you know.
Wow.
So it really like blew my mind, and then I was obsessed. I literally forgot about football and was just training jiu-jitsu 3 times a day. My goal was just like, I want to get my blue belt,
For sure.
you know. And
For
then
sure.
That's cool, man.
Right before we jump into more, because I definitely want to find out more about your MMA career. We kind of want to get a little lifted a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted to bring in a VIP
Let's do it.
package. We
Let's
got
do
Miss
it.
Raven.
What's going on, Raven? How we doing today?
Thank you.
We
It's a
doing
lovely
good. We're
package
doing
right
good.
here.
Absolutely. We got a couple of those Jerome Baker bonds for you.
Oh, I'm very familiar.
Right.
We also have a couple of the Jerome Baker hammer pipes as well. And then all the product we have today is beautiful for a post-workout kind of chill out. Got tons of myrcene in that sour Maui and in the white mac over there. So enjoy.
Excited. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, Raven.
Thank you, Raven. All right, my brother, where you want to start with first?
So this was a lifesaver in New Orleans.
Right.
I took this to New Orleans with me.
Hell yeah.
This was this last fight was the first time that I smoked every day leading up into the fight. Usually I
Okay.
take time off, but
Right.
I took this with me to New Orleans. Lifesaver. Helped me
Hell
with
yeah.
rehydrating. It was great for after the weigh-in. I was able to eat really good. I
Hell
felt
yeah.
really good. So
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Shout
you had
out.
you had a
There you go.
TKO too, man. Of
There you
course,
go.
man.
felt good, man. I
Right.
slept good. I had no stress. I was just vibing regular days. You know, I was like, this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't need
Crazy.
to, I don't
Hell
need to
yeah.
do that no more. you
Right,
know?
1000%. So
That's
where
good,
we,
man.
where we want to start, better? What you want to do?
We got rollies. We got the bong. We got the pipes we were just talking about.
Let's hit a bong and hit a pre-roll after.
Hell
Let's do
yeah,
it,
hell
let's do
yeah.
it. Let me actually I didn't bring any gloves.
Oh, that's all good. Check this out. So we got this here. We got that eighth right there. We've got a grinder here for the flour. Fresh bong, freshly loaded. I'm probably just gonna grab one of these sour Maui rollies here.
You got some stickers? Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to add these to my furniture.
Dude, 100%, man.
In our studio, we have like sticker furniture, like
Okay.
covered. So
You
we're
said
always
grinder better? I'll
Yeah,
grind
man.
it
We'll
up
get
for
you
I'll
some more for sure.
hell yeah,
We got tons.
sticker up.
Let's look at this sour Maui by Circle S Farms. These are one of our new tasty room sponsors. They got some really amazing flour. Look at this. We're testing at 25.8% THC, 23 milligrams of myrcene,
So you're gonna
2.1 of the limonene. Yeah, but you get a little pinene in there to kind of help negate that a little bit. But man,
Y'all see this?
I'm excited.
Y'all looking at this?
Dang,
Yo,
that
y'all
looks
gotta
good.
come check out Anthology. They got the white mat going on.
Yeah.
Myrcene's at 4.5, limonene's at 6.8, carofilines at 6.6. You don't know your terps? Come find me.
Yeah.
We're gonna educate you.
Yeah, right. You got to come to the taste room and get
1000%.
educated. That's wild, dude.
So I'm gonna break this down, brother. But while I'm breaking this down, so on my very first episode on this podcast, we had Steve Cantwell here, ex-UFC fighter, and now the owner of GLP.
One of my favorites.
1000%.
No, their stuff's exceptional.
So he had mentioned on that podcast that he does not recommend athletes or fighters to consume while they are in full competition, and you had just went full consumption during yours.
Yeah, right.
How are your feelings on that?
I mean, I think to each their own. You
For
know,
sure.
like everyone is so different especially when it comes to weed.
100%.
And I've got stories of just like guys that were just like us, you know, regular smokers, and then one day had a terrible experience, and then just completely never
Crazy.
smoked again. You know,
Yep.
and there's no explanation for it. He can't explain it, and
Right.
you know, it's just one of those things. But for me, like, you know, just like how everyone wakes up and wants to drink coffee, it's the same thing. I actually do this with my coffee, so
Little
get the
coffee and cannabis, right?
yeah, you know, and it just gets my day started. Like, you know, I understand like where people come from, where they're like, oh, I smoke and I cannot function. Like,
Right.
I understand that, but I'm the
100%.
opposite. My degree came from being high. My whole life has, you know, been everything that I've been able to achieve has been through smoking weed. And you know, as long as even if it's a negative in the long run, it's still been such a positive for me
For sure.
in this short amount of time. So, you know, like I said, to each their own. And
Yeah.
if it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
For
you
sure.
know? So
For sure.
you can never tell. And that's what I love is like there's no uniform. There's no fixed way to do something. Like it's
That's
how
for
it
you,
works
my brother.
best for you.
Exactly. Everyone's different. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? I think that's kind of that that freedom to choose. I mean, for me personally, I resonate with what you're just saying, like that blind rage of being a young man. You know what I mean? For me, weed was always the thing that helped me. Like, okay, that was dumb. Stop. You know what I mean? Back down to earth. Here I am. So I feel it because, for me personally, anything I've been able to achieve has been because of cannabis. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad it's working for other people. But I know what Steve was talking about too was kind of respecting the craft. I think in that episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was talking. I mean, obviously coming from Hong Kong, he was saying he's like there's parts of the world where you can still get your head cut off just for using cannabis.
Exactly.
So if you're gonna play by the rules. I think was kind of the point he was making.
1,000%.
I agree. You have when people are like, hey, this Brittany Griner situation, for example, she travels overseas, but she has illegal stuff that you cannot have in that country. It's like you have to factor that in. You can't just be like, oh, I'm an American and I can just travel where I want and do what I want. No, you have to abide by the law.
1,000%.
And for people not to understand that is just strange to me. The same thing. I grew up in a place where, if we get caught with this right here, right now, we're doing time. That's a fact, and it blows my mind. I'm sure it blows a lot of the listeners' mind, but that's reality, and being back home, of course, you have access to it. There's a market for it, and you have some of the best weed you can get actually in Hong Kong,
Really?
It comes from Canada, it comes from the U.S.,
yeah.
It's all coming out from here. And, they're getting the seeds, they're getting all the grow ops and stuff that you need to grow out there. So, everyone's informed. It's just, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to take the risk because, if they come knocking on your door or if they stop you on the street and you have something, it's going to be an expensive and a big waste amount of your time. Whereas, if you were just here, you don't have to worry about that stuff, and, you see more and more countries now legalizing it. And also in Asia, it's starting to shift. Thailand is becoming the first Asian country that you're starting to see them use it medically. So there's money to be made and people will start to see that. It's just, Asia is just a little bit slow. They take their time. They usually wait for the West, wait to see what the repercussions, and then they're like, if it works, then we go.
True.
Gotcha.
But right now they're super anti, So
I mean, with the federal government still standing where they do on the whole matter, I mean, I'm sure that's not helping things. I'm sure if we had some movement on the federal level, that would help things abroad.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Well, business would flourish.
Yeah.
The biggest issue is money. When the banks don't want to play, it's a big problem. But when the world sees the banks play, then everybody plays. So that's all they're really waiting for.
Yep.
And it will happen.
Oh yeah, all in due time. Right now we're on the ground floor of the movement, right?
Man, this whole time you've been having me anticipating that bong rip.
Yeah. Ooh, and like a pro. There's an all-in-one there. Woo. Yeah. There we go.
Long life.
Yeah, we definitely learned in episode 4 with Sasha that this man can smoke.
Yes.
So
that's one thing that I'm pretty confident in.
Yeah, right.
And I will say this right now, Daniel Rodriguez, I outsmoke you. Okay.
You heard it here first.
Smoke you. All right. You know that.
Yeah, right. Exclusive here on the sessions. I think I abide by that. You know what I mean? I definitely agree. We've seen it. I mean,
all right.
Disrespect to D-Rod, but he was a little toasted in episode 4 for sure. But
that's the evidence right there. That's the evidence right there.
Shout out to my boy D-Rod, man. Just Sasha got the crown right now, my boy. It is what it is.
Because we've been even having influencers in here for these smoke sessions, with the game show, and we've had. I mean, obviously, it's what these guys do is smoke weed for a living. I think you're right up there with them, bro. I think you can hang. So hell yeah.
I don't one thing. I don't know what it is, and it's not because of how much I smoke or anything like that. It's just I genuinely think I just have a high tolerance, and it came later on in life. I remember the days when I would just smoke and just crack up at everything, laugh at everything, and eat everything, and just go through that whole experience. And then I feel that was the beginning levels of smoking, and then after year 3, it's all of a sudden I became a intrinsic thinker when I smoke. I was everything is all about thought process and applying it to stuff. And I'm I've matured. I'm past it, but I also miss it. Sometimes you just want to just
nostalgia.
Just crack up at anything you see on TV and just you're just faded on the couch. Sometimes those are the best times, you know?
Yep. And we're man, I could have one session, be high all day.
Right.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what is your best, especially since you've been a user for so long, what is your best weed story?
Okay. So after maturing through, let's say the 1 to 3 years, I was chasing that, I want to get back to that. And, I was living in Jacksonville at that time, and that my buddy Andrew, his friend James, he would get these random jobs where he would like go to a random state and like install like bag racks at like grocery stores, and they'd pay you per hour. Pretty good job, actually. You like make your own hours, you just cruise around, they pay for gas, they pay for everything. So he was like, oh, I need a partner, and my buddy like couldn't go, so he asked me. I was like, yeah, let's go. And it fell under 420. So we were in North Carolina cruising around in a U-Haul, and we get to UNC, like Chapel Hill. I was like, yo, we need to check out the campus, like just drive around, you know. It's a beautiful area. And what's that? Historic. Yeah, definitely. School. And then we end up going to this head shop. We just Googled like a head shop, and we found one. It was like 50% off for $420, and we got the foot-long rolling papers. And we've been cruising with like a couple ounces the whole time. So I was like, bro, 420 celebration. I'm like, let's do a foot-long fucking J, you and me, and let's hotbox the U-Haul. Like, close that shit down. We ain't allowed to leave until that is done. You know. Yeah. So
those
we finished
challenges. I love it.
Yeah. So we finished the day. We were driving around. We get to our hotel. We park right out the back. We make sure to go park out the back because we don't want anyone to like freak out, you know. And so we get in, we close the thing. You know, it was already rolled nice. It was a nice, perfectly straight. It was so straight. That's what I couldn't get. It was like, it wasn't massive, but it was just like super straight. I was like, that was one of the best J's ever. And and we hit it. And I'm telling you, we got to about here. We couldn't even see each other in this place. Like from here to you guys, it was like so freaking smoky. And I was like, bro, he's like, yeah, we're going to put this out. And like, we put it out, and then we lift open like the U-Haul, and all of a sudden it was like a vacuum. It was just like all this smoke came out, and bro, like I lost like I couldn't even like keep my equilibrium. Like I got dizzy. I had to hold the side. And then like I stepped out, and we just got in our room, and I think we ordered like a bunch of Dominoes that night in the hotel, and just same thing. I was giggling, I was melted and I had a really good night. Like that was just like a really good night of doing nothing, but it was a good experience, you know.
And that's a great one, man.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was a good time.
I don't know about you, Tom, but I think I low-key want to match that energy. I think I want to start get this G-Pen Connect.
Yeah, right. It's about that time. About to start, waxing it up.
1000%.
I think maybe if Miss Raven can come help us, give us a little tutorial on how this guy works, because if you guys didn't watch the last episode, I clearly don't. So, yes, Miss Raven, we want to
welcome back.
Beam us up, Scotty. We're trying to do some dabs out of this student class.
I love that. Hey,
last time I hit that, I hit it with the tree, so I've never seen it with this. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's actually it's really smooth.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
And doing this is probably like more effective because then you don't have to clean it, right?
You guys are doing better.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to sanitize and clean them, but it is a lot cleaner. You could
like
do a lot
personal,
more. Yeah, you
when
could
you're
do
at home. You're
1000%.
like,
you could do a lot more sessions.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
1000%.
Heck yeah.
As long as you don't load that bad boy up too much, then you'll be fine.
Dope.
All right, guys.
The perfect thing about this rig, especially in the pandemic times, is it does the work for you. So it'll just push it right there, so you don't have to put your mouth on it. So you can social distance sesh with everyone and still get a really big hit. Like,
that's sick.
Yeah.
Thank God you said that too, because I forgot to remind our past guests.
and literally last week, as I was trying to figure out how this thing worked, I was like, "Oh man, this thing is killing me." Actually, you see all that milky smoke there?
Yes, sir.
Ready to rock and roll.
You can hand that to him now. He's gonna go ahead and take that to the face. Go ahead, lift that for me real quick. Yep. And then turn. Oh no, lift him. Yep. And then turn. Flip him. Yes, there you go.
Clear the chamber, right?
There you go.
See, this is why I didn't. I was struggling. I was like, this moves. There's buttons. There's hardware. I'm so confused.
All right.
Yeah, shout out to Matrix and G-Pan for the G-Connect, man.
Yeah, we're smoking on some Banana Fosters by Matrix, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's why I had to slow down on the pre-roll, man. The pre-roll got 23 milligrams of immersion, and I swear me and Tom,
if we said we weren't going to smoke
away from these
indicas on the show after what happened last time.
You need to check out the last episode.
And then I personally grabbed these pre-rolls, not looking at the terps. I was like, Sour Maui. It's probably fine. Now I'm halfway through this pre-roll. I know my eyes are low.
This Banana Foster, it has some
tastes
myrcene
great.
and limonene, so
More of the same. I love it.
Absolutely. You want some more?
Sure.
All right.
So how is that student treating you, brother?
It's great. I like that. I like that concentrate. Tastes good.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Real big body high. Probably one of the fan favorites here in the tasting room as well.
This and that.
right?
Great combo.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to our boys at Cannacocktails, Student Glass, Matrix. They help
Yeah.
us turn up here in the Vegas tasting room. I'm telling you, you guys gotta come through. All of this that you see on this table, you could run out.
Yep. The student glass, the G Pen, these bongs. We've got Puffco Peak Pros. We've got Dr. Dabbers. Are you sponsored by Dr. Dabber?
I wouldn't say sponsored, but
Okay.
they we had like a deal, and they hooked it up.
Hell
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
To
Cool.
the shout out post, you know.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
But-
I just remember in the last episode that you owned an Evo.
Yes.
I remember that discussion.
That was
Okay.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They gave me an Evo, and yeah, I promoted for them, and I seen like the Dr. Dabber and was like, come on now. You know what I mean? I was like, there's only a matter of time before I get one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
You know, and then being with City Trees as well, I was like, you know,
Yeah.
with the concentrate, so it was good. It was a good, I guess, connection right there. Good
100%.
combo. You know, just still waiting for that flower connect. you know?
Right?
He said, we
That's-
still,
that's
it's still
true.
growing.
I mean, Extra X is pretty cool, but you're right. There's nothing quite like good flower, right?
I agree.
That's cool.
I agree.
How did the City Trees deal come about?
So it was quite funny. I'd done like a kind of like a Zoom interview, but it was with like, I want to say like 30 people. And it was like a bunch of journalists who were in like quarantine in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
So they like basically brought me in to just, you know, just chat about whatever, you know, like fighting, and they were just asking me kind of general questions. And one of my buddies was like, so like, what do you like to do when you win a fight? Like, what is your celebration? You go out, you get wasted, you have a good time. And
Right.
I was like, nah, man, like I don't drink like at all, actually. Like I'm not a big drinker at all. And they're like, what, really? And I'm like, yeah, bro, like I just smoke a lot of weed. And then and then they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, I love weed. Like that's my go-to. And then they're like, oh, really? Like, do you do anything else? Is like weed the only thing you really mess with? I'm like, to be honest, like just weed and mushrooms. Like those are the two. Like I don't do mushrooms like crazy amounts, but you know, a couple times a month. You know, but I'm on my weed on my daily. You know, that's
Right.
like that's my go-to. So they were just asking me a lot about that, and then, you know, I didn't think anything would come from it. It was just a general conversation like we're having right now. But they turned it into a big ass article for bjpen.com
Yeah.
that they released like my fight week.
Yeah.
Like it was like literally on the Thursday or the Wednesday, and I was fighting on Saturday, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, no one told me about this article, but at the same time, I was like, that's kind of dope. I was like, I always
Yeah.
wanted to feature on BJ Penn, you know?
That's awesome.
So
Uncle
they
BJ.
they talked all about you know, about like a UFC fighter that's, you know, that smokes weed and takes mushrooms. And I was talking about like, I was high as fuck when I was on that interview, but I was just kind of talking a lot about like what kind of like positive effects you get from
Right.
mushrooms and weed in terms of like recovery and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Thank
they
you,
turned it into like that kind of side, and I think one of their marketing people saw it and reached out and was like, hey, we'd like to, you know, do a deal with you. We'd like to, you know, work forward with you. And I was like, sure, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
You
That's
know, and
awesome.
it was pretty cool. It just came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, what, you have like a concentrate sponsor? And I'm like, yeah, like they just reached out. And I'm like, that's the beauty of social media.
Yeah,
They're like,
100%.
we didn't even meet, and they're like, oh, we looked through your social media, we like kind of like what you're doing, and you know, we liked your article, so we'd like to, you know, work with you. And I'm like, awesome, you know. And
That's crazy, man. Blessings, man. Blessings.
That's
Straight
awesome.
up.
yeah, man, like that's just like, you just never know what's gonna happen, you
Yeah.
know. And it just that's
Gotta
the
put
world
that
we
good
live in.
energy out there, brother. It comes
Heck
back.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and if you're also being forthcoming about who you are and what you do, you know what I mean? It just goes to show, if you put it out there, people
Yeah,
gravitate to
for
you
sure.
who align with that, right?
I mean, yeah, like I just feel, I see a lot in my sport. I see like a lot of people who are like really in their cave, and they like really shell up. And I guess like the older guys, maybe guys a little bit older than me, like they just kind of do their thing and just show their hard work shows. But like at the same time, the younger generation is like, they're all about trying to just put on this fake show. Oh, I'm doing this, or I'm
Yeah.
this, or I act like this. But in reality, like I'm very unique. So I'm like, why don't I just be myself? Like I don't need to put anything on. Like I'm
Right.
very unique in my own way, and I'm not a fake ass person, and
Right.
I just try to be real, you know. And I
Hell
think
yeah.
even if like I'm not the most famous or the coolest or whatever the hell that people want to look for, which I don't care about. It's the most important is relationships, people that you meet,
absolutely,
the connections that you make, and you can learn so much from people. Like so, like that has always been my thing. I've met people from everywhere, and I've always been able to learn something. Like every day, like it's just like, and you just have to be open to it. And I feel like that's like that kind of mindset has given me the opportunity to connect with brands and connect with people with that kind of mindset and philosophy. And at the end of the day, you only want to be with like positive people because you'll be successful that way. If you're just roping around being upset all the time, you're not going to be successful.
Man,
you know what I mean?
Facts, man.
So,
dude, 100%, man. Wise words.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome, dude.
Well, as much as I love having you on here, my brother, we are running a little short on time.
Yes, sir.
We actually about to open this place up. That's why I was telling y'all, man. Y'all got to come through, man.
Exactly.
Definitely.
We're going to give you a fat dab before we get you out of here as well.
Sounds good.
At the bar. Is there anything that you want to plug or let the people know that you have up and coming, or where they can find you social media?
Yeah, you can find me on social media at Sasha Palatnikov MMA. I have a upcoming bout June 18 in Abu Dhabi, so I'm gonna be flying out there. Trying to get D-Rod to get his passport so he can come out too. So that'll be a bit of a shit show. We're also coming out. D-Rod and I are going to be coming out with our own podcast. That should be coming out pretty soon.
Make sure y'all tap in. They are hilarious. They're hilarious. Y'all
I think it's just gonna basically be us just sitting there roasting each other. So we'll see. No, but we'll talk about some stuff. We'll show some like fly kicks, and we'll talk about some dope shit, and just see if people want to tune in. You tune in. If not, go about your day.
Right.
But
awesome.
Yeah, check out my social media. Nobody really has my name, so Sasha Palatnikov MMA, and just stay tuned. Trying to be more active on social media. Trying to just give you guys a little bit of insight of what we were doing, and then excited to go out and fight in Abu Dhabi in June.
He's also being humble. You can also see him on YouTube as well. He's already doing his own interviews as well with other MMA fighters.
That's true. Thanks for reminding me.
I be tapping in all the time.
That's true to the product, right?
The All-Star, the All-Star MMA. Shout out to them. Thanks for reminding me. Like I completely fucking forgot.
Yeah.
But we'll be doing some interviews with some fighters too. Trying to get some bigger names now that are some controversial names. So it should be pretty exciting. But once you guys start to see the studio up and running at the crib with D-Rod and I, then I'll start to be having a lot more interactions with fighters and getting them to do some stuff, maybe even some weed stuff. But we'll see, and stay tuned. It should be pretty fun. And thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for inviting me out. It's always fun coming out here. And hey, this is the spot to come, guys. Like if you're hungover after going out, it's the boys. Like come out here, get a table. No one's gonna bother you. Be chilling, you smoking. Like it's drinking, sipping on lean. Like you guys will be comfortable. Come out here. This is coming from a certified stoner. So even if you're not a stoner, this will be a great place to learn, to get introduced to stuff, and just go through that experience if you don't feel comfortable, because everybody here will make you feel comfortable. So come on out here. NuWu is a spot, and they got new spot about to open up. So I'm excited for that too. But yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Much love, dude. Thanks for coming on, dude. This is going to be awesome. Let's get him a dab.
Yes, sir.
And, it's been NuWu Sessions, guys. We out of here.
We out. Appreciate you.
Brother. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro, for real.
Hell yeah.
Great episode. So much for our questions.
I mean, you answered a lot of them. Like, I was talking too much. No. This is what we're here to do. That's exactly what we're here to do. What's going on, NuWu fam? Thank you for watching NuWu Sessions. Just want to let you know that you need to hit that subscribe button right down there and click the little bell so that you get notified every time a new episode drops. Thanks for watching.